The vice president swung through South Florida yesterday, telling cruise line executives, step up your game. Governor Ron DeSantis raised the state emergency management to a level 2 as local leaders work to ease fears, but sometimes sow confusion by holding back vital information.
Florida senators were among them here. Senator Rick Scott joined us right here at the table to talk about it. Senator, great to have you here and appreciate you coming in. I want to start off by the message that the public is hearing about coronavirus. Everything is fluid, everything is changing. We listen to the president sort of downplaying a lot up until this weekend. We listen to the vice president, the point man on coronavirus, taking a more measured tone with the country. From where you sit on the scale of basic attention to fear and loathing, where are you on that spectrum? Where should the public be?
Well, I spent 8 years as governor, and my attitude about the 4 hurricanes we had and Zika was, you always prepare for the worst, you hope for the best, you keep everybody as informed as you can, and let people make their own decision. So I think that at all levels, local, federal, and state, that we need to get more information out. We need to know, so as you know, we had a death in Lee County, close to where I live. Well, we didn't even know there was a person with coronavirus there.
Right, yeah.
What issues did that person, what type of issues did that person have with their health? We should know that. So if somebody says, well, I have that same issue, maybe I shouldn't travel. We should know what flight they were on. So if your family was on that flight, wouldn't you want them to go get tested before they, were? So I think there's a lot more information that at all levels we ought to be getting out publicly. I think, at the federal level, I've been talking to the FDA. We need to know what shortage of drugs we're going to have so people can be informed. What consumer products, things like that.
Let me go back though, because we are all on board with you. We find out on Friday night that there are 2 cases in Broward. We know from the governor's office that it is a 65-year-old man, a 75-year-old man. That's all we know. And why don't we, just as you mentioned the death not only in Lee County, but a death in Santa Rosa County, which were both international travel cases that we know.
From where?
From where we don't know.
We don't know. We should know that.
So why don't we, you, as a sitting Florida senator, why can't we know more about, without violating their privacy, these men in Broward? Where have they been? Are they related? Do they live together? What city do they live in? Where have they been? Where do they work? Why can't we know that? Why don't we know that?
You should know that. The public has a right to know.
Do you know?
On those cases, I get briefings. I get briefings at the federal level. We were at a briefing this week with the lieutenant governor. And we have good health departments around the state. I dealt with pretty much all of them when I was governor. But at all levels, we got to get all those. Glenna, you have to know. You are making a decision.
We're arguing the same point here.
Yeah, you're making a decision where you go tomorrow.
Yes. So when you get briefings, were you asked not to say anything? Are you comfortable with the information you got in the briefings?
So I've gotten a lot of briefings. I got a classified briefing one day. There was nothing classified about this. Okay, it's information that we all ought to know. And so I think it's every part of government's got to say to themselves, okay, the public's got a right to know here. We don't know how bad this is going to be. We can all hope it goes away. Maybe it goes away quickly, but we don't know. So I want my family to be safe. You want your family to be safe. I want every citizen's family to be safe. Get the information out there. Let people make their own decisions.
Okay, so let's talk about the you voted for and the president signed $83 billion in a budget specifically for coronavirus supplies, protection. Give us a sense of where is that money going? Florida's portion at the moment is what, 27 million?
So
where does the money go?
It's a little over $8 billion, and what it is it'll go to how do we make sure people can get a test? How do we make sure that we get the vaccine out as quickly as possible? What other issues does either the CDC or HHS have? So it's as you said, it's fluid. So it gives a lot of authority to the federal agencies to figure out where to spend the money. Now, I believe everybody ought to have the right to get a coronavirus test if they want to get one. If you have a concern, you ought to have the right to get one.
But in Florida, we don't have enough, according to state officials yet. I know by the end of the week, I heard federally there were supposed to be 1 million tests available, and I don't think at week's end that there were. So where in the pipeline is that? What can we
So
expect?
the way the FDA explained it to me, I don't know, I think it was Wednesday, Wednesday or Thursday morning, was that on top of what the FDA is doing, they've been working for sounds like about a week with the private companies like LabCorp and Quest and people like that, the publicly traded companies, the big ones, and they've already said they're going to get tested out. The FDA had to waive a regulation to allow that to happen quicker, but it's happening, and so very quickly, I think all those companies are going to have their own tests out. So when you go to your private doctor, you're going to be able to say, can you send that to LabCorp or Quest or whatever you want to do? It won't just be through the Florida Department of Health, the county.
So again, this almost comes full circle in that if there were people who knew that they had come in contact with these men in Broward, they could then go to their primary
Right.
doctor or an urgent care or the CDC and get tested. But the protocol is not clear to the public about that. It's certainly not clear to those of us who disseminate information
Right.
to the public.
Well, my belief has been that if you want to get a coronavirus test, you ought to be able to get one. I believe that if you think, well, I might have been around somebody that had just got back from Italy, as an example, where they have an outbreak, you ought to be able to go do that. So my understanding is, according to the FDA, is these companies like LabCorp and Quest are going to have theirs out quickly. I think LabCorp, they announced on Friday theirs is done, and so you're going to, and now it has to get out to their centers, and I think my understanding is it's not going to be difficult to tell the doctors exactly, or whoever's going to do it, exactly how to do the swabs and things like that.
I want to turn to events. I mean, March, April is event season in Florida, specifically South Florida. As you know, the city of Miami canceled Ultra and another event on Calle Ocho. Their city of Hialeah canceled some. We were at the fair that opens this week, not canceled, but amped up hygiene. And the fair's president told us this is the CDC, we're abiding by the CDC regulations, nothing needs to be canceled. Although Miami cited CDC regulations when they did cancel. Disney World is open. There is a whole economic conversation to be had. But what is the message about public gatherings and whether to close or not to close, and this really mixed message that people are seeing now?
I think all those decisions should be made locally. I think that whether you're thinking about staying at a hotel, whether you're thinking about going on a cruise, whether you're thinking about going to an event, whoever is organizing that, I'd put out the information so to make you comfortable. Say, this is what we're doing with regard to hygiene, and we're doing. This is our cleaning schedule. This is the types of things we expect people to do. These are, this is how we're going to test to see if anybody has any issue, and if you do, this is what we're going to do if it happens. So I think then it'll be easier for people to make a decision whether they want to attend or not. And if people decide, I'm not going to attend these things, then it'll be easier to say, look, we shouldn't be having them.
So you advocate keeping everything open and leaving the locals and businesses in a more personal decision, but then what do you say to the person who is deciding whether or not to attend? I mean, is that a personal decision in that
Absolutely.
I am a young, healthy person, I'm going to risk it, and something like that?
Well, I think if you remember what we did with when I was governor with Zika, we put out where the local transmission was, and then it did a couple things. Everybody could decide, do I want to go there, all right? And two, the businesses that are there said, okay, this is what we're going to do to tell people why it's safe. So I think we ought to be doing the same thing here. I think it's incumbent upon a fair, incumbent upon a business to say, this is what we're doing to keep you safe. And by the way, if you say, I don't think I'm going to be safe, you're not going to go, and they're going to have to make a change.
So that comes down to, again, the level of information that people are getting. Is there something that you can do, maybe your counterparts, Senator Rubio, maybe Congress can do to put out some sort of path of information to make the state health departments, local county health departments mandate an information pipeline? Because from where we sit, information is the best tool
Oh, absolutely.
to keep people safe
you'll
and healthy.
You'll make a good decision. I mean, if everybody gets information, I think they'll make better decisions.
So how do we do that?
Well, what I've been doing is I've been talking to the CDC about having a 24/7 hotline. And I did this with Zika when I was governor, and here's the reason why you do it, is that there's one number you can call. All right, right now CDC has a hotline. It's 800 CDC info.
And we have that on our website as well.
But there ought to be one just for this. And then what happens is if CDC gets called about something a lot, then they say, oh boy, we better get something out about this.
Well, you just made a clarion call to our audience. Senator Rick Scott, great to have you in. Appreciate your time.
Nice to be here.
And stay tuned. Next, we turn to the scientists. We have infectious disease specialists coming in. They'll be right here live with us. Stay tuned.